What's going on, people? Myke C-Town here with another episode of Metal Milestones, where I talk about really important metal albums on their birthday. But I'm actually going to start saying that I talk about them on or around their birthday because I actually missed this one by a few days, which tends to happen quite often, which is why I don't do as many of these videos. So we're gonna change that. And yeah, because this album was way too important to not cover just because I have a shitty memory. So today we're talking about the self-titled album from Body Count, which was released on March 10th, 1992, man. And it's mind-blowing to think that this album is 30 years old. 1992, this was about a year after I moved from California to Conyers, Georgia. And it was a seriously weird time in my life. You know, I was still dealing with the weird race issues here. You know, the white kids wanted nothing to do with the black kids in general, but I was also too white for the black kids. So I spent a lot of time trying to find myself by seeking out people who were like me, you know, black folks into non-stereotypical things. I seriously remember the day that this album came out. You know, release days were really important back then for music fans. You know, the whole ritual of going down to the record store and buying the album on its release date and being one of the first to actually hear it, that was a big thing. So yeah, I went with my mom down to the local record store, which was called Turtles in Conyers, Georgia, and I wanted to get the cassette. And the reason I couldn't buy it myself was because the record store wouldn't sell stuff with the parental advisory sticker on it to kids. You had to have an adult with you. So yeah, went with my mom, and I remember putting the tape on the counter, and she picked it up, she looked in the back of it, she read the song titles, puts it back down and goes, "Nope, you're not buying this." She saw the song Mama's Gotta Die Tonight, and she was just like, there's no fucking way, man. But somehow I still got the cassette. I don't remember how, but either way, man, I fell in love with this. But the album really gets going with the song Body Count. And the way it opens up with the clean guitars where Ice-T's talking about living in places where cops come and got your cat out of the tree and all your friends died of old age, you know, but he lives in South Central Los Angeles. And unfortunately, shit ain't like that. But when the riffs hit, it's so good, man. It's hard, but it actually has a bit of melody to it. And the chorus for this song is just so good. Tell us what to do, fuck you. Which is a response to Ice-T in the song talking basically to the government or the masses and asking them questions like, goddamn, what a brother gotta do to get a message through to the red, white, and blue? What I gotta die before you realize I was a brother with open eyes? The world's insane while you drink champagne and I'm living in black rain. Battles of the Devil is a song warning about the dangers of going to jail all over a fast, almost punk rock instrumental. But after this track, you have this track called The Real Problem, where Ice-T says, the problem isn't the lyrics on the records, it's the fear of the white kids liking a black artist. But the real problem is the fear of the white girl falling in love with the black man. This is something really interesting that we'll get into a bit later, but the song that follows this is KKK Bitch. And yeah, even back then, I was kind of weird about the title. Not a huge fan of calling women bitches in general, even if they're in the Klan. But the song is basically about Ice-T falling for a white girl whose father is in the KKK. Something I can actually kind of relate to. But as hilarious and silly as that idea is, the main elements of the song do have a larger point. And that's the fear of racist white men losing their women to a group of people they despise. But it's also about the fear of having direct elements of black culture integrated into their communities. Voodoo is sonically great. You know, the driving guitar riff is really infectious. It's not too flashy or anything. It just works. Thematically, Voodoo is absolutely ridiculous. It's about Ice-T going to New Orleans and meeting a woman who is into voodoo, of course. And the woman ends up using a voodoo doll to pluck out Ice-T's eye and cut off his fingers for a reason that I am still unsure of. But I can't tell you how many times over the years I've been around my friends and I'll just randomly yell out, "My eye, bitch!" Now, if you did this around your friends and none of them got it, you need new friends. The song The Winner Loses is the only song that I can kind of see people skipping, even though I love it, but it's kind of their version of Nothing Else Matters in that it's drastically softer than the rest of the album, sonically at least. But yeah, the song is about the dangers of drug use and addiction. But it's a good song, man, and the solo on this song, I think, is incredible, man. It's soulful, it's sad sounding. Like, Ernie C really was a beast for this one. But oh man, there goes the neighborhood. That's one of my favorite songs on this album. But this is another song that spoke on something that really came true in terms of the reception of this album. You know, the song's basically about racist white folks' attitude towards black people being into heavy metal. Here come them fucking niggas with their fancy cars. Who gave them fucking niggas those rock guitars? Who let them in the club? Did you make them pay? Who let them on the stage? Who's letting them play? I am totally getting demonetized and this video might just randomly disappear, but that's okay. Either way, this song talks about the expressed idea that this genre of music is really only for white people and black folks have no place in it. Evil Dick doesn't really need an in-depth description. The song is an absolutely ridiculous take on the idea of men thinking with their dick instead of their brain. And in the song, Ice-T's dick literally talks to him, telling him to do terrible things like fucking random girls or cheating on his girlfriend. My girl caught me skeezing. She said I wasn't shit. I said it wasn't me, baby. It was that motherfucker Evil Dick. Yeah, this is another line that I've probably said a million times over the years since this album came out, and yeah. But yeah, the sex sounds part on this song could go. It's totally not necessary, but every time he ends that part by going, damn, dick, the shit cracks me up. Then you have my mom's favorite song, which is Mama's Gotta Die Tonight. Even though I'm an admitted mama's boy, I'd be lying if I said I didn't love this song, man. The opening riff is so good. It reminds me quite a bit of the opening riff to Suicidal Tendencies' Breakdown. But yeah, the song is all about Ice-T confronting his racist mother who apparently hated everyone except black people, including Orientals. Oh God, like that part does not age well at all. But Ice-T confronting his mom results in him setting her on fire, then beating her in the head with a Louisville Slugger. Which, by the way, when he's talking about hitting her in the head and the guitar goes, wow, and then he says, I hit her twice, and the guitar goes, wow, wow. But oh yeah, he also cuts her up into little pieces and buries her in random places around the US. It's just so ludicrous. And the fact that this is Ice-T's idea of standing up to racism is pretty funny, but for the time, it's pretty cool. And now the final song, man, the song that got them recognized all over the world, and that is Cop Killer. This was the musical response to the rampant abuse that inner city folks were experiencing at the hands of dirty cops, something we're clearly still seeing. But in this song, Ice-T says, I got my 12 gauge sawed off, I got my headlights turned off, I'm about to bust some shots off, I'm about to dust some cops off. Then of course you have the legendary hook. Cop Killer, better you than me. Cop Killer, fuck police brutality. Cop Killer, I know your family's grieving, fuck 'em. Cop Killer, but tonight we get even. All this over a really thrashy riff that just screams crossover. You know, it definitely gives me the feeling of older, kind of late 80s hardcore, you know, especially some New York hardcore. You could think I'm crazy, but I could absolutely hear this riff on a Warzone album or a Cro-Mags album. But it's very fast, it's adrenaline packed, and it's super punky. But how do I feel about the song in general? I love it. You know, just like I love punk songs that were anti-dirty cop. But yeah, Cop Killer resulted in nasty letters to Time Warner, boycotts, major politicians throwing fits. It was a huge joke. But remember what I was saying earlier about the themes of the songs KKK Bitch and There Goes Neighborhood. Well, this is what I'm talking about here. I truly feel like the fear of white America when it came to this album was revolving around music and themes like this getting into the hands of their kids. You know, it wasn't a big deal when these ideas were just floating through the black neighborhoods, but now the messages of interracial dating and the horrors of incarceration and getting vengeance on violent cops was coming in the form of music that these politicians' kids would be into. They had to put a stop to it. Oh, and before you start typing about how killing cops is no different than the idea of them abusing or killing black folks, stop it, put your keyboard aside. because these folks actually choose to be cops. You know, they choose to represent a corrupt and abusive system. But at the end of their workday, the uniform can come off, and if they choose to, they can go back to a regular non-cop life. Black folks don't have that luxury of taking off our skin. You know, unless you're Rachel Dolezal or Ashtray from Euphoria, you don't get to choose to be black. So stop making that comparison. It was funny how the opposition to this album was pretty much solely about Cop Killer. You know, folks thought the album was saying it was okay to kill cops, which is ridiculous. To me, the more interesting thing is it's also implying that the other songs in the album were nowhere near as objectionable. The song talking fictitiously about a situation concerning a fictional relative, that doesn't say it's okay to kill all mothers to these people, but Cop Killer, totally different story. Again, like Ice-T said, it isn't the lyrics on the record, it's the fear of the white kids liking a black artist. And to me, it's a bit deeper than that. You know, this whole Cop Killer controversy was based around their fear of white kids being exposed and perhaps agreeing with anti-cop sentiments. You know, when that sentiment was isolated to black neighborhoods, it was fine because they already knew it was prevalent there. But there was no power in those neighborhoods, so it wasn't dangerous. You move that idea into white neighborhoods and get them on board with it, and now you have a real problem. It's important to note that despite there being no rapping on the song, it kept getting referred to as a rap song versus a rock song. Because back then, if you say rap, it's a lot easier to get people behind you in your cause to fight it. But yeah, eventually Ice-T and Time Warner caved and Cop Killer was removed from the album and replaced with a rock remix of the song Freedom of Speech from Ice-T's The Iceberg. They even added a spoken word part by Jello Biafra, so that was fine. But this album is great to me, man. It meant a lot to me as a kid. You know, seeing any black representation in heavy metal was automatically dope to me, but what made this especially dope was because Ice-T was a different kind of black dude playing metal. You know, if you look at a band like Living Colour, you know, those guys didn't seem necessarily hip or hip hop. I love them too, by the way. But Ice-T, with him, you have a legendary rapper who was hip, the ladies loved him, he was a G, but he was also into metal. He was also in a metal band. If a cool guy like Ice-T was into metal, then maybe it wasn't so weird for 12-year-old nerds like me to be into metal. But due to the music being absolutely fantastic, as well as being a super loud call to other non-white kids to feel okay getting involved in metal, this is just an extremely important album. I love every song on it. But in closing, I also want to give a quick rest in peace to members D-Rock, who died from lymphoma, Beatmaster V, who died from leukemia, and Moose Man, my main motherfucker called Moose Man, who died from a drive-by where he wasn't even the intended target. So yeah, it's all really sad, but their legacy is this incredible album that I'm sure prompted a lot of black kids to embrace their musical interest in things that were not hip-hop. But yeah, that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I will try to do more of these. Yeah, anyways, as usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, peace out, boy.